I forgot the non-existent, dog. Shit has changed major. You scratch that, throw it in your iPod player. Like, my God, he right hard, a ball on you figures. Yo, they throw backs, give it away for free like, oh boy. Go and make noise when you hear, hope you jump for joy. I'm optimistic, glass ain't half empty, it's half full. Hopefully by now you know me from the jazz council, that was years ago. So I brought more fire to douse dudes and playing by house rules. I'm laid back like a couch dude. I'm that dude to make his own beats, writes his own rhymes, records his own shit. Probably why it takes so much time to put out an album. Man, I'm always behind schedule. Ain't that I ain't hungry, I just always got my plate full. Try to digest all the topics that I'm spitting. You need to sit back and actually take the time to listen. We living in a new age where mind states are feeble. Kids' attention spans are shorter than Danny DeVito. My beat stole, be banging, be about my business. Bass stays knocking like a Jehovah Witness. Leave them scattering when chattering. The gang of rhyme patterns. I ain't worth challenging. You all need some aspirin. Aspiring to be me, no empires to feed. Just a chosen few that's flowing through. Firing up the weed. Jesus, crazy what the world coming to. I'm here to live it, make music. For y'all is just hanging on a gimmick, huh? Wait a minute, man. Don't get me confused with none of these newbie-ass rappers, man. I know the game be feeling fucked up, but I've been making beats since 95, regardless if I had the right promotion or not. Word up. Hey, yo, I ain't always humble. I ain't always intense. I've had my good and bad days like anyone else, more or less. Probably a lot more than less, or the more of it in a sense. Feel blessed, so I just move forward through the stress. But don't smoke stress. Smoke the bombest weed you ever seen. Cannabis club category, certified Cali Green. Type of bomb that I keep up in my sack. They give a lot of cats anxiety attacks. There's no denying the facts. But enough about the weed, though. I keep it on a need-to-know basis. It's time for me to cut to the chase quick. So download the free LP. Spread it to your friends and family. Even to the little haters mad at me. I got 2 official LPs coming after these. So far I'm grateful for the love that's coming back to me. Truly appreciate the support, especially my peeps that had my back when I was going in and out of court. But of course a shout out to all my people. Kept the game alive instead of killing it. Selling out with weak flows, my crew. Anyone that gave an honest point of view. Much respect besides me, man. I do this shit for you, yeah, for you.
Like to play games also. In this game, it's very important to listen to all the instructions. We're going to combine your things in this game.
Ha. So suspect. Now as my rhyme surpasses, see visions are overpasses. Some choose to overlook it. They should be looking past it. We hope for classics. We over you whack bastards. Soul suspects, man, we fall from the average. People try to act like they shit don't stink. They'll be up shit's creek, plus their ship's gonna sink. Now they knee deep in bullshit with nothing to think. On the brink of dealing with the most unpleasant of things. Time switch up, find ways to humble your strut. Just when you was thinking you was the next runner up, shit out of luck.
Hello, folks. Welcome. Microphone's on. Think things are going good. Happy Tuesday, guys. I'm a happy camper today. Had a good one. I enjoyed yesterday. New Kit Bash kit came out. My cover's on it. I'm super excited about it and the kit. And we're going to talk about it today. How's everybody doing in the chat? Good to see you all here. Vlad, Luis, Oleg, good to see you guys. Happy to be here. Luis, yeah, let's be honest about what we're doing here. It's, beer with lunch. So, cheers to all of you. I hope everyone's staying positive and staying happy. I was wondering if anyone would notice or be able to hear that, and I'm happy that you did. Maybe I'll start it all that way, just kind of the same way that we do on Wrong Effing Question. All right, guys, we got some fun stuff to look at today. We got some covers to look at. We got an image that I started working on this morning for fun in time-lapse mode. Hey, look, Peter Hanby. Look at you showing your face finally. Good to see you, buddy. Glad you're here. Glad you've been hanging out. All right. Oleg, thank you very much, man. I'm really happy with how it came out. And I'm working on like a full making of that one. That actually like kind of I recorded, that was like, I think 12 hours of work. And actually we can go ahead and switch to it for anybody that hasn't seen it. This is what that guy came out like. And it took me about 12 hours total. And I recorded my screen the whole time. So I'm going to chop that up into, as opposed to just taking 12 hours and crunching it down into 10 minutes and, not being able to see what's happening. I'm going to try and make something that actually goes through all the steps and like just cuts out the boring things where I'm just moving buildings and tries to actually focus on stuff. But I got some client work going on right now. I'm a little bit busy. Video editing, not a strength of mine whatsoever, but I do want to learn it. So that'll be coming up when I can get it finished. But yeah, so let's see. We got some cool stuff coming out with that. I will show you, since we've been doing a lot of paintover stuff, and I've been getting a lot of questions about it. I do want to show you guys really quickly a couple of the steps that I did in making this. Because I went back and forth between my final image or my 3D image, like render frame, paint a little bit, change it in 3D, back and forth and back and forth. Much more so than I normally do, but I also usually don't spend 12 hours on like these sorts of images. And so I kind of just kept going back and forth. So to give you guys like a very quick breakdown of how this happened, this was the image while I was setting up the kit for how I like to use it. Just adding like a little bit of procedural noise and stuff. I saw this image. I said, this is awesome. I'm just going to give you the real short version, so this will be something better later. Kind of mock some stuff out real quick. Just to kind of see, obviously because the goal here was to show off the kit. Didn't want to actually go through and draw something cool that wouldn't work for this kit or that I'd have to like really tweak. So just threw a couple pieces into the camera to kind of see what they looked like together. Took that into 3D, kind of started trying to figure out a composition. I thought there was like a cool relationship between this building and the flying airship there. Went back to 3D to see what that looked like. Started getting worried that I wasn't going to be able to show enough of the kit with this composition, since so much of it's kind of taken up with this big guy here in the foreground. So I went back to 2D yet again. Just did thumbnails of saying like, okay, I feel like I have a sense of the scale of the geometry, but let's go through and really try to kind of make this thing work. And ended up with this guy over here. Really liked that one. And I'm like, okay, I can put a bunch of buildings here. We're going to be able to see the whole kit. There's kind of room for everything to breathe. Went back into 3D, mocked that up. Started realizing that I had to kind of figure out something to organize this side, right? Like these buildings are fucking rad. I'm so excited about this kit. It's one of my favorites so far. All kinds of cool vibes going on in it. But the buildings, because of their kind of like crazy cool forms, all want to grab attention to one another. So I was definitely thinking we need to organize it so it makes visual sense, right? So that a reader can actually see more than just a complete mess of buildings over there. So back into 2D again and decided, hey, if we had all these like floating kind of Ian McHugh ships kind of rocking out, they wouldn't be based around water. Like that's a very American thing, or not American, earthly thing, because that's where industry is and it's easiest to move things by ship. So instead of doing water, let's do like a big cavern, and then that would give us a structure to kind of lay out this little town. And I think it makes the story cooler, right? Because if we have floating ships, we'd have some kind of cool floating port. That was quickly bashed that in 3D, did some color tests. And then it was just like pretty simple. Just try to kind of tweak the composition a little bit, figure out what I want to do in the background. This is obviously in 2D as well. Doing all the final stuff. One last little tweak. This was, I think, the final render. And then that was the final image after some Photoshop. So I'm looking forward to like actually like breaking down all of the steps and how I did things and what I saw. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyways... Oh, and we also made a square image of this. Whoops. Where's the square one? So that things can fit in both ways. And this is like not just a crop, it's actually moving the camera, right? And it's easier to move the camera than to have a bad crop. That was my thinking. So I'm really excited with how these turned out. They were a lot of fun to make. The kit's really cool. And I decided like, last night, this morning, that it'll be fun to take in this kit and make another image for you guys live. It's just about done. Probably needs a little bit more time in Photoshop. But I have a time lapse of it. I've spent like an hour and a half this morning working on it. It's an idea that actually came from the cover. When I was initially doing that, I was thinking, what if we changed this to like focusing just on this kind of cool little leg? And then I decided, no, that's not right for the cover. But I didn't just go back into this scene and like move a camera, hit render, and be like, look guys, it's done. It's that easy. You just have to move a camera. I actually started back from the kit as a whole. So we're going to watch that. I'm going to enjoy my beer. Hopefully some of you guys have a beer as well. Maybe a whiskey, maybe a coffee if it's really early where you are. No judgment here. Whatever it takes to get through the day, right? So let me cue that up. Let's see. This guy, I believe, yes. Okay, so now we're going to watch a time lapse. I shortened down, like, I think it was an hour and a half, roughly, down to like 25 minutes, 3D and post. And we'll see kind of where I end up and what I still need to do. So this is just back to the original kit, basically, from where I started the other image. And obviously I redo some of the things that I did for the cover, since I was kind of taking an idea from that. The idea is not particularly unique from the cover on this one, but it was still a lot of fun to make. And so this is just deleting stuff, rotating things, all the same stuff. Jake, I feel like it's the only attitude you can have, right? Whatever keeps a smile on your face. It's, anyone judging you at this point's a asshole. Let's be honest. You do what you got to do. So I'm just kind of, instead of recreating, just grabbing all of the pieces from the other kit that I wanted to reuse, I kind of remade them. So we're kind of watching effectively what I did on the other one, but it changes a decent amount, I think. Looks like we got a lot of new names in the chat. Guys, I'm happy to have you here. Thank you for being here. Just trying to kind of block things out right now. Let's see if there's anything that I need to answer in the chat here, now that I can just kind of let this play. I'm kind of liking this format. For some things, I feel like this format's better. Watching someone work in 3D in real time, I feel like is pretty slow. So I'm going to try and avoid that as much as I can. Yeah, just kind of picking some buildings that I know are going to work from working on the cover, and some ones that I didn't use that I'd like to have used a little bit more prominently. And, we're just going to kind of keep working through it. Anyways, joking, very nice to have you here. Thank you, bud. I appreciate that. Milan, good to see you. So lit, dude. It's been a while. Good to see you here. Thank you. Clark, hello. I'm still very happy about that plane tip yesterday. I actually, I think I already did it, but I used it in this. Freaking awesome. Martin, good to see you, bud. You didn't miss much. Just me rambling, looking at some of the cover stuff from before, and that I am going to put together like an actual full how I made this image video. Just need to finish editing it. I'm a bad video editor. But we'll get that figured out. Vlad, good to see you. Louise, Jafar, good to see you guys. Oh, Jordan, what's going on, JD? Good to see you here, buddy. Very good to see you here. This kit is freaking awesome. I'm beyond stoked about this kit. It is weird and beautiful and amazing, and it's like right up my stylistic alley. So I couldn't be more psyched. Matthias, with the plane, if you put down a plane and you don't change it to an edit poly, you can change the scale of that plane at render time in the default settings. I had no idea. Clark let me know yesterday. So instead of F-Storm doesn't have any kind of like built-in infinity plane, like V-Ray or Corona does. And so instead of having to make a giant plane and then kind of hide it in post or whatever else it might be, you can just set that multiplier super big. It doesn't make your scene massive to deal with, but at render time, you don't have that black gap between the end of your plane and the bottom of your HDRI. So it's awesome. And it's right in the modify panel when you turn on a plane. So Clark, thank you for that. Jafar, that is a great question, how I maintain my gorgeous beard. A lot of luck, a bit of laziness, scissors, and beard oil. Good question. And I started making my own beard oil because it's overpriced when you buy it anywhere else. But yeah, scissors and beard oil. That's all it is. I like that you guys are asking the hard-hitting questions today. I appreciate that. Jokin? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. as we'll find out, I am awful at names, both in remembering them and pronouncing them. But welcome from Belgium. I love your guys' beer. I wish we had more of it here. So super, super cool. Yeah, so what are we doing? I haven't really done anything particularly interesting. I grabbed the same little 3D character that I used last time because, you know, she's standing at a rail. That works for these kind of images. I like having like a scale figure in this, but didn't want to, you know, pose a new one. That seemed like a waste of time. And now I'm just kind of trying to figure out what this is going to look like. I changed the camera a couple of times. I didn't do any sketch beforehand because I kind of already had an idea in my head. And so you'll see we tweaked the camera a couple of times going through this. We're doing that right now. I liked the idea that there would be this kind of like one really strong top to bottom vertical element in the foreground. It's kind of like the main thing that I wanted in my head, and everything else is kind of ancillary to that. And so we tweak it a couple of times to try to make it work. Try to kind of hide the ground plane because I wasn't going to deal with that. So yeah, I use symmetry a lot. This is a nice little cheat that I use all the time. If you want a building taller and it's not like an important building inside of your image, a lot of times, depending on the geometry, you can just put a symmetry modifier on it and no one's going to tell, especially not if you're going foggy and moody and all of that. Can I share the recipe for beard oil? Not off the top of my head, I can't. I only make it like twice a year. And I only started doing it like a year ago. So I've made it twice is what I'm trying to say. But I can, in a future episode, I will dig that up. I keep it. You just have to buy, basically I took the beard oil that I liked and looked at the ingredients, bought those ingredients, and mixed them together. It was relatively simple, and I can't tell the difference between the two, to be honest. They smell a little bit different, but that's just, you know, how you put things together. Here I'm adding like extra fog and like kind of a low-lying fog. It's not going to be that heavy, but I like the idea that this building, I didn't want it to feel like it was right above the ground, and so I kind of wanted to obscure everything down beneath our main hero character there. And yeah, just kind of tweaking some materials further, all that kind of fun stuff. You want to know you guys are all on the beard oil. I can find out the brand that I like the most. I can tell you with a Google search. I think I know what it is. But I don't want to guess at it until I check it. That's definitely not the flavor. It is by Herbivore. And it's called Beard Tonic Vetiver and Sage. I will send you guys a link in the chat. For those of you that want your beards to smell just like mine. That's a little strange, but I'm okay with it. It's the best smelling one that I ever found, and it's also not super greasy. Some of the beard oils I tried are greasy. That one's pretty awesome. And so I basically just looked at their ingredients. I bought them, and for about $50, because you have to buy the essential oils are pretty expensive, kind of. You have to spend like $50, but then you can make, I don't know, 12 times the amount that you get from this. So maybe I should reach out to them and say, hey, I'll keep recommending you if you give me more of it for free, so I don't have to make it. But yeah, the beard oil, you can't have a beard without beard oil. It gets all dry and itchy. Come on, guys. You know this. So now we're just kind of filling in the scene. It looks like we moved the camera again, or maybe we're about to move the camera again. To be honest, I can't really say. But it's just kind of like constantly checking to see if things that are grabbing their attention, whether or not I want them to be. Putting in a big box to like cast some shadows on those foreground buildings so they get a little bit darker. Some stuff that you could easily do in post that I sometimes do in 3D and sometimes do in post. I'm all over it. This is a cool plugin if you guys don't know it, or not plugin, it's a script. You can find it on Script Spot called Catenary Generator. A catenary is what a chain or a wire or a rope that's hung on its own weight. That's the shape that it makes. And this will just take 2 points and make a catenary, and you can tell it how much droop you basically want in it. And so you get like a very realistic swoop, assuming that there's not supposed to be any tension on the wire, and it's super quick to make them. That would be kind of a finagly thingy in 3D. So I very much recommend it. And it's free, and it's cool, and everyone likes cables in an image. Clark, yes, you do. If it's getting itchy, beard oil, most definitely. Beard oil, beard balm, whatever works for you. I generally just use the oil. Yeah, so of the folks in the chat, have any of you picked up this kit yet? Because it's on sale currently, and I've seen at least 2 people make an image in my feed with it, which is just awesome. I'm really excited to see what everybody else makes with this kit because the pieces are so freaking cool from it. I think we'll probably be using it again in a few future episodes because this one is kind of obviously in the same vein or style, both in like lighting and mood, and even like obviously some of the layout is directly taken from the cover. And I have a bunch of ideas of things that I want to try as well with it. So it's coming back faux show. But I know that people are going to come up with it, and it's going to be completely different from what I had. So I cannot wait. Jordan, you could turn that wire into a chain. The easiest way to do it would be, I think, probably with i2's rail clone. Use that spline and then just model a little link, and then you could also just use the 3ds Max align tool. Not align tool, spacing tool, excuse me. And I think that would look really cool, but I think it would probably only look cool, like, even that, I'm going to make this smaller in a second, these cables, because they feel too heavy. I like the idea that these cables were, like, pretty delicate. But yeah, like a chain, especially if it was close to the camera, would look awesome. And then you get, like, a cool little reflected pattern all the way through it. But yeah, and then I had a problem smoothing it, so I ended up putting a turbo smooth on it. But yeah, Dapper Dan. Well, isn't this just a geographic anomaly? 20 miles or 20 days from is the closest Dapper Dan in all directions. Is that the quote? Something along those lines. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? Such an amazing movie. I'm a Dapper Dan man. I love it. I haven't watched that in some time. Yeah, so this is getting close to done in 3D. I think I tweet, like, you know, it's at this point, I don't like fully paint this one like I did yesterday, even though I was kind of tempted to do that, and I might do it in the future. But it's like, it's at this point that I find when I'm like sitting and noodling things that I waste like a lot of time and I don't get a lot done. Productivity wise. Oh yeah, we have to bring this guy in. I noodle on this for a little bit longer. In 3D. Giant waste of time. Not a waste of time, but like it's not an efficient use of time. So I need to work on that. I feel like if I had stopped here and gone into Photoshop and just showed you guys like the 2 resulting end images, there wouldn't be that much of a difference between the 2. But that's kind of always the struggle with, not just in 3D, these projects in general, is that you can always do more. Always do more. And so knowing when you can stop, when you should stop is a skill that I work on, and let's call it moderate success. But yeah, because I do this, and there's a couple of things down here. I actually, I was rendering this out to go into Photoshop, and I realized I wanted it to be portrait. So I actually, at some point, this renders, and then I go in, I change a couple extra things, and then I render it again. And I change a couple last minute things. Yeah. Loving 3D. It was a good morning, though. This kit is so much fun to play with. I couldn't be happier about it. Let's see. I do set up a couple of passes for this one because I knew I was going to want to select things and adjust things. Nothing super fancy. Just like for multi-mats, especially for non-client images, I usually just kind of go through and pick the ones that I know I'm going to want to select. Like looking at this image, I already know a few things that I'm going to adjust in post. And so I don't go through trying to make sure that I'll have a clean selection of every single thing that I could ever possibly want to edit. I instead just say, like, I know I'm going to want this. I know I'm going to want this. We'll grab, like, a material and an objects pass, and worst comes to worst, I can use the lasso tool. But my days of, like, setting everything up perfectly, I feel like I waste too much time and don't use all of that. So I don't really do it. Getting a weird message at the moment from YouTube. I hope you guys can still hear me. Got like a warning and it says excellent connection. So I'm a little confused. But I think maybe it's working. Okay, if it's cutting out, please let me know. But otherwise, we're going to keep moving forward. Luis, I've never used CryptoMats. I do not know if FStorm, actually supports them or not. I just use multi-mats, and I have a couple little scripts that I use for bigger projects where I need to like go through and choose every channel and set up a lot of selections. I've never used CryptoMats, so I can't answer that question. I know a lot of people do love it, however. Maybe somebody in the chat, FStorm user, knows if they can use CryptoMats or not. I really don't know. But I was just gonna say something. I had something in my mind and I completely lost it. So anyway, so now we're in Photoshop finally, which is a good thing. And kind of in my general sense, I'm just trying to. The first thing I'm usually looking at is trying to get the right depth into the image that was kind of already in my head. And so we paint some things, and then we mess with color for a lot on this one. I really kind of struggled getting like the warm tones I wanted and the green tones in the those kind of randomized panels. And I wish I had paid a little bit more attention to that in 3D, because by the time I actually get to fixing them, they're more finicky than I expected. Did I see the 80s PBS show called The Secret City? No. I don't even know if I've ever heard of it. Oh, that sounds amazing, Clark. I am going to make a note of that in my little notepad of things to remember and check it out, because I love the premise of that, and I have an almost 2-year-old daughter, and anything that's like instructive and cool for children's stuff, I'm all about, because I generally have to watch them too, as does my wife. My wife watches more of them than I do. Secret City, writing it down. Thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate it. So yeah, you're gonna. One of the things you'll see in this is that like I'm constantly like taking away a little bit green. Like I'm constantly kind of going back and forth, and I think I just didn't have quite a clear vision of what I wanted it to be until the end. The end, it's like, okay, I have an idea of it now. It just needs to be tweaked a little bit more. But again, making sure that like all of my edges read by making darks and lights bigger, using a hue saturation layer at the top to kind of keep an eye on what I'm doing. Sometimes that makes things a little bit more apparent. But yeah, so like now it's back to cooler. It'll go back to warmer here in a little bit. It's back and forth. That's you're seeing a man trying to figure something out that he's unsure about. In this one, being able to select behind glass. Yeah, for this stuff, it's not a huge deal. Obviously, because there's nothing to see behind any of the glass here. For like professional work, that's a hassle, because even if you turn on reflections and refractions in the multi-matte in F-Storm, it doesn't give you a clean selection anymore. So I try to kind of change as many things in 3D in those situations as possible. Oh, Clark, that's awesome. It's on YouTube. Even better. I'm super excited about that. So again, still like the atmosphere is a little bit heavy. I like that there's a lot of atmosphere at this point in the image, but like right kind of to the right of our character, it's a tad bit like splotchy as a result of like painting really quickly with that brush. So I need to go back and fix it. I think I do fix it towards the end. I think it's the last thing I do before I had to stop working. Painting some smoke in here seemed right. Kind of tweak a little bit. Don't know why. I'm not sure what the structure is in the foreground in this image. It's a support in the other. But here it feels more like a lookout. It's got the cables on it, so it's either like a stay post or it's something that's floating itself. I'm okay with that being ambiguous. I kind of like it that's ambiguous. Oleg, yeah, Corona, F-Storms, I get frustrated with F-Storm's atmosphere because it's not super robust, right? There's like 4 settings and that's all you get. And you can't do any VDBs. There's a lot of things you can't tweak that I wish you could. But you can at least get like atmospheric perspective really easily, and it's not a huge render cost, time-wise. Corona kind of has the same settings, but I don't think it gives quite as good of results or is quite as fast. But, you know, between that compared to something like V-Ray or Redshift, which has like full VDB support and much more robust atmospheric systems, you can get a lot more done than you can in these. So yeah, it's my biggest hang up currently with F-Storm, and that and the lack of like a actual metal roughness shader, and it's getting to the point where I might go back to V-Ray. I've been tinkering with V-Ray more and more again recently because I'm kind of getting frustrated that those things have not been implemented, even though people keep asking for them. I've been asking for them since basically the beta. So yeah, it's a frustration. But F-Storm's trying to be a very specific renderer for a very specific clientele, and it works fine for almost all of my professional work because it's, you know, clean photographic architectural images, like photorealistic images. But for my personal work, I'm getting a bit frustrated with it because obviously there's nothing like photorealistic, quote unquote, about this. Or really realistic in that sense, and I'd like more tools that F-Storm doesn't have. But I'm very, very quick with it at this point. But that's a bad reason to stick with the tool. So we will see. This is more. I just went and did some like nick corrections to adjust some colors. This is Topaz Simplify, which is like a weird kind of faux paint software, but it adjusts colors in a different way, and at this point I'm still just kind of looking for an answer. I don't have a clear picture in my head of what I want the colors to be in this. And so I'm hunting, and I continue to hunt up until where the image is at right now. But I do like Topaz Simplify. It does kind of soften the sharpness of an architectural rendering or a CG rendering. And as long as you don't overdo it, I generally keep that opacity down like 20% or below. Otherwise, it looks very, very blah. But if it's just kind of just there to soften some things, it does a good job. And here I'm just going in. We're getting towards the end of where I'm at on this one. But I'm going in and just with normal layers, like painting out a lot of the detail in the background. So as the pros using screen, which will brighten things, or multiply, which will darken things, but not actually remove detail. Painting with these solid layers is actually removing contrast, local contrast from the back. Because I feel like it was distracting from the main kind of vertical out to the character read that I wanted with this image. So just kind of painting in. I still want to see like the silhouette edges, obviously. And so I paint them kind of in and out. But just kind of like very quickly going in and throwing a bunch of solid color. Solid color, obviously not with full opacity. To kind of soften everything up. And that's kind of, I think, about where this one's at. I think this is about done. I'll probably doodle on it for another 20 minutes or half an hour. I think this guy, yep, that's the end of that. So that's where that guy is at right now. I don't think I'm going to keep painting right now because I have a bucket load of work to do today. But yeah, that's me playing with, that's really bright. That was me playing with the heavy metal kit. A big thank you to the Kit Bash fellas, my good friends there, for reaching out to me to do the cover of this kit. I had a freaking blast. I cannot wait to see what you guys do with it because it's super unique in like the building forms, and I feel like there's a ton of directions that this kit could go. So yeah, it's gonna be super rad. But this is kind of a short one today. 35 minutes or whatever it might be. But I think that I'm gonna stop it there. I feel like I need to get back to the day job this afternoon. I got some stuff that needs to go out. I've got some emails to catch up on, all of that fun stuff. And I spent a while playing with this morning, but it was a lot of fun. So we are going to be back tomorrow. I am not sure what I'm going to do tomorrow. I am open to suggestions. Thursday, we have Patrick coming to teach me tie flow, which I think is going to be awesome. Patrick from Alt Shift. So we're going to play around with tie flow, and he's going to, show me why he's doing a better job of learning software these days than I am. And I'm really looking forward to it because everyone's singing the praises of tie flow. The videos and the work that I see that comes out of it looks freaking amazing. But I haven't done it. So he's going to teach me, and then we'll probably see me playing with it at some point after that. But guys, thank you for being here. To the folks, I got a couple nice messages in the past day or two from people that aren't around for the live streams. And so I just want to say thank you to them as well for checking out the videos. I do very, very much appreciate it. I hope that everyone's enjoying them. And to the people that are listening later and can't comment in the chat, if you have anything you want me to cover or ideas for me to do or suggestions on books or tips like that one from Clark, which is awesome, leave them in the comments. I'll read them all, and I'll respond as much as I can. We also, on Friday, we're doing paintovers from Fabio's competition. Got a lot of them. I think it's going to be fun. I might do them in advance so that we can speed them up a little bit. I'm not sure yet. I would love to know what you guys think on that topic of should we speed them up as opposed to me doing them live, do them in advance, time lapse, and then I can just talk while I'm doing things. I don't know which one's more valuable. You won't hear me obviously working through thinking about the image, but instead of having to watch each one for half an hour, we'll be able to do them in 10-15 minutes for each one, which could be cool. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. But until tomorrow, be well, get by however you can, and stay positive. I hope everyone's doing well and their week's off to a good start. And I will see you all again tomorrow at 1 o'clock right here. Thank you guys for being here. I very much appreciate it. And I look forward to whatever it is we're going to do next. I hope it's going to be fun. It'll be enjoyable and a learning experience one way or another. You guys all take care. Thank you. And awkward time. We got 2 buttons. Boop and boop.